dreamers everywhere. Welcome to the Dueling Disney podcast. I am one of your hosts, Andee Zilmerman.
And I am the other one of your hosts, Aldee. How are you doing?
Good. 2 more weeks of school for me. You're done with students.
Yes. My school ended a couple weeks ago, although we still have people taking over buildings and things of that sort. So,
Really? I didn't know what the protest would be like after
Well,
school.
we had, and you can all, read about it on the news. We had come to an agreement with our main encampment, and they decamped the main encampment. And then the next day, a whole other group of people decided to take over a building on campus, which they were not the students who we signed the agreement with. And then that was a whole other thing. Of course, that was the hits kept on coming. And I'm so tired of student protests. That's a whole other part of my life that I don't need to talk about on this particular podcast, because this is a joyous and happy podcast.
Do we need a Life Sucks podcast?
I think there are plenty of Life Sucks podcasts. They're called The News.
That is true. That is true. Good point. All right. Well, were you able to have a Disney week in the midst?
And I did. Okay, so you were unfamiliar with it, but many of our listeners might be familiar with the Apple Vision Pro, which is Apple's headset thingy, augmented reality kind of thingy, which when I saw it came out, I was like, I want one of those, but I'm not spending that much money. But then I kept asking around, and I found a guy who bought like a ton of them, thinking that Apple was going to sell out of them, and he was going to be able to sell them at twice the price when Apple sold out, but that didn't happen. And so he was having a fire sale.
Oh, no way.
I paid much less than sticker price for one, and I got one. And that's all sort of the background to the fact that the Vision Pro has a number of different things, but one of the things that you can do is watch movies with it.
Do you have it? Like, can you show it right now?
I can. It's in the other room.
All right. So show us your whatever you were talking about.
The Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
It's not connected to the battery, so I'm not going to put it on or anything. I'm just going to show folks, our YouTube folks, which it's been all over the internet. So our YouTube folks are like, yeah, yet another Apple Vision Pro, but it's a set of goggles and it's got cameras and all kinds of goofy stuff. You put them on and it's an augmented reality. But one of the things that you can do with it is, so Disney Plus put their app out for this. And so I obviously, as a Disney podcast host, I put it on. And one of the things that you can do is you can obviously, it puts a movie up in front of you in sort of your room. But the other thing you can do is they have these things called virtual environments. And in the virtual environment, you can turn it on or turn it off, and you actually watch a movie in a environment. So you're looking around 360 degrees and you're in that place. So one of them is the El Capitan Theater. Another one is Avengers Tower. So you're sitting there and you're looking around, and there's like Iron Man stuff over here and Cap Shield. One is Tatooine for Star Wars, and another is the scare floor for Monsters Inc. And so I sat, and I haven't had a chance to play with it. And it is play it. Let's be clear. It's a super expensive toy. I haven't had a chance to really get into it and watch a full movie yet, but I put on Avengers Endgame in the El Capitan Theater, and it was so because I've been to the El Capitan Theater, you just look around and it's like you're sitting in the El Capitan Theater. It just looks, you go like this and you look all over, and it's behind you and in front of you and the whole shebang.
That was like we tried out at the last D23 Expo, right? When we were at Broadway. Okay.
Way more high def than that, and way more high, and then the other thing is, over the years, I like panorama pictures. I don't know why. You can take panorama pictures with your iPhone, really super wide pictures. And I always go to Disneyland and take these panoramic pictures of Main Street in different areas. And until now, there was no real use for them other than that. But you can take the panoramic picture and wrap it around you. And so I wrapped the panoramic picture around me, and I was in Galaxy's Edge and those you can't really interact with, but you just look around and you're just like, oh, that's Main Street, and that's the Emporium, and that's Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It's really, really cool. It's really cool. And I'm waiting for Disney to really come up with some augmented reality, like tours of the parks kind of thing, because only a matter of time. And I'm amazed that they didn't open with the ability to watch a movie on Main Street USA. That just seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, they had the scare floor for Monsters Inc., so why not Main Street or in one of the castles or something like that? It's really awesome. I very much enjoyed it. And I sold my motorcycle to be able to get the money for it. So,
oh, it's that expensive.
It's pretty expensive. I mean, mine was like a third of what I think most people paid, but
okay. I'm
even
always,
at a third, it's really expensive.
I'm always behind on the technology, always, and I'm always like, why would somebody do that? And then like 5 years later, I'm doing
here's
it.
The advantage, like I'm going on a bunch of trips this summer, and like I think it's ideal for like watching a movie in an airplane because you can just like pop it on and completely tune out everybody around you, and like you're looking around, you're not on an airplane, you're at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood.
But you got this
and
big old
you don't have the smell of urine right outside the door.
Yeah, that part's beneficial.
Yeah, but you have this big giant thing on your face.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
What was going to happen anyway? What do I care what other people on the plane thought of me in the first place?
You don't, I guess.
Never have, never will.
Okay. Not that I care either.
I think you do a little bit.
I see so many people walking around with their faces in the phone, and Disney has not made that easier, making sure that everybody has their face in the phone as they're walking around the park.
And I've seen people walking around with it. I don't know that I would walk around with it. Like you can see through it. So like,
oh, you can.
Yeah, you totally see through it, and it has these electronic eyes. So if I have it on, I'll bring it when we go to Disney.
Okay.
When you have it on, like you can see like these electronic generated eyes that I think seem creepy. And if you want, I'll call you later because it has for Zoom calls and FaceTime calls, it has a digital avatar that like is a recreation of my face, but isn't my face. So that if I want to have a Zoom meeting, but I don't really want to change out of my Superman the movie t-shirt, I can just put on the digital avatar and it looks enough like me that you have to look a little close to tell that it's not me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'll call you later. We can record it for our Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty. I called my sister. She was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "What? What's different?" She's like, "That doesn't look like your apartment." I'm like, "I know, it's cleaner." So that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I'm going to dig into it, and at some point we may do an episode about the Disney experiences in augmented and virtual reality because there's a ton of them. Disney really went all in on this thing.
Okay.
Disney Plus, like it's got so much in the app. 3D movies, the best 3D you've ever seen.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Like it's amazing because I don't generally like 3D movies in the movie theater because for whatever reason my eyes, I often see the like it doesn't quite match, but in this thing it's like perfect.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like the biggest screen you've ever saw. Like it's hard to explain until you put it on. Well, the other thing, they have this thing where like you're sitting there and this portal opens up in whatever room you're in and dinosaurs walk through. And then like a butterfly lands on your, it's insane. I'll show you.
It's definitely a solo experience, right? You can't watch a movie with somebody else.
No, not currently, unless they've got one too. Yeah. But I'm a solo kind of guy.
You are a solo kind of guy.
And it actually, honestly, for me, it helps me because Gotham barks at a lot of the stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. I can see the pros. I don't know. I've just been in a really weird mood this week with technology and kids and just watching the decline of attention spans and stamina when it comes to reading and writing and stuff like that. And I'm like, really? One more thing? Great.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any kids.
No, but I work with them. And guess what? They get to you sooner or later.
Yeah.
Those same kids that are going to be acting like middle schoolers by the time they get to you.
You know why? Because they have no attention span and they can't get into my school.
Well,
that's so bad. That's so wrong.
It's so true. So true. Yeah, I just had a really yucky week with all those realizations and just how addicted they are. And I don't know. I'm feeling like going back all caveman days. Not totally caveman days. I like the microwave.
As we
But
talk to each other via the internet. I
the
mean,
internet,
here's the
exactly.
thing. I've really come around on that. I used to be right where you're at. I'm like, this technology, these kids today. But then I realized that, like, it's like fighting against oxygen. This is the world they exist in. And we can either, like, understand it and go along with them or get out of the way because, you know, when we say stuff like that, like, there's this great article I read that sort of talks about people complaining about these kids and their attention spans and da da da, and they're talking about the invention of the radio, and it's literally the exact same things that we talk about. Like, it's just, this is how it is with new technology.
I don't know. Radio is, I don't know. I have opinions. It's not the technology so much that I'm fighting against as it is the, I don't know, maybe the dependence on it, the social media, I don't know.
Yeah, like our parents fought against, like, TV. Well, not our parents, but, you know, grandparents. I mean, it's fascinating to me when I read this article that really reframed, like, every new technology has this reaction from the previous generation. And I really, with my students, I had to, like, get out of that space and start listening to them and how they engage with it in a way that surprised me, that I kind of had to shift my focus around it. But, you know, so I just spent a lot of money on a augmented reality goggles. So I'm, you know,
you do you.
Apple's got my money.
Cool. They have a lot of people's money.
Not like Disney. So what's your Disney week?
No. I have a few things, actually. Gosh, it seems like a lot, but no, I'll pick a couple things. So this isn't really a Disney week, but it's pretty cute. Emma and her boyfriend Fernando have been fostering these 4 kittens that are just adorable, and they gave them all Fantastic Four names. So they're, I mean, just, you know, while they're fostering them and stuff, so they're very cute. Marvel. I'll share some of those on Instagram, and if anybody lives in the California area and wants to adopt a little kitty, these kitties are super cute.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did
so
they
they're
give
named
them the superhero names or the secret identity names? Are they
no, the superhero names? So okay. Thing, Invisible Woman. They were trying to. So Emma's emotional support animal who died a couple of weeks ago, her name was Shuri from Shuri and the Black Panther. And then they got another cat and named him Namor from, again, Marvel, Black Panther, and other Marvel series. And then they ended up getting a little tiny black cat, which of course they named T'Challa, but T'Challa was a very, very sick little kitty. So they weren't able to keep the kitty for very long. And that was pretty hard. That's
unfortunate on a couple of different levels.
It is. And so when they got these 4 foster kitties that are just adorable, they were trying to think of temporary names for them all. And then Ed found one of his Marvel comics that was Namor and the Fantastic Four. And so since they already had Namor, then they had to that was just a given that they had to name them after the Fantastic Four.
That checks out.
Yeah.
And, so, you know, of all the Marvel properties, Fantastic Four is probably my favorite. So
okay. All right. Yeah. Well, they're all named after that, and they are just adorable. And there's no way that Emma and Fernando can keep 4 little kitties. So if anybody wants a little kitty,
me?
They're so cute. They're so cute.
Now, is she gonna keep one of them, or is she gonna get? Okay.
She is. I think that was the purpose, to kind of see if one really stood out. And there is.
It's gonna be the Thing.
It is.
I don't even know these.
It is the Thing.
It's gonna be the Thing. It's always the Thing. That's the best Marvel character there is. Love the Thing.
Yeah, it's totally the Thing. But they're just fun. It's just fun for, you know,
blue-eyed Thing, yeah.
And it is a blue-eyed thing for sure. Mm-hmm. You know, we all watch cat videos or whatever on the internet, and it's just fun to have her just call and set up the phone so I can watch the kitties. They're so cute.
Oh my God. Your family.
I know. So weird. But I do want to say this other mention about a YouTube video that I have not gotten through all 4 hours of, but I will, because this video is so funny and so great, and it's by a YouTuber, Jenny Nicholson, and it is a 4-hour video on the spectacular failure of the Star Wars hotel.
Oh, I saw that, and because it was 4 hours, I was like, I don't have time for this. Is it worth watching?
So far, yes. I think we've watched almost an hour of it, and it sucks you in, and it's definitely.
I can't wait.
She's great. She's great, this Jenny Nicholson. She's smart. She's funny. Got a little bit of ADD. in there that just cracks you up. And my coworker, my next door neighbor teacher, he was telling me about this 4-hour video, and we were talking a little bit about the Galactic Star Cruiser, and other coworkers around are like, what's that? Like, they had not even heard of it, which makes sense if you're not a Disney person. And the fact that
what's the point?
And this point, what's the point? It wasn't even open for 2 years. But
I am a Disney fan, a Star Wars fan, and as soon as the prices were announced, I was like, I will never see that.
Both of us. I mean, we have another coworker asked, he's like, do you guys have a podcast about this? I'm like, yeah, we do. We did not think that all of the ideas were the best ideas for this Galactus car crew, but it is so great. And like I said, it's a 4-hour video. We are maybe an hour in, but I highly recommend it. Even if you didn't care about Star Wars that much, just to watch how Disney messed this one up so badly. It's just, I want to watch more of it.
And one of the things I love is, you know, sometimes people talk to me about our podcast and they're like, so you just get on there and rave about Disney? I'm like, oh, no. Sometimes the Disney Corporation would not be happy with our takes on certain things. And I think the Star Wars Hotel is one of them.
Star Wars Hotel is definitely one of them. Mistake. Yeah, we're in agreement. But I'll put the link to her video on our show notes just so you can find it easily. It's really good.
It's really good. I cannot wait. And I am on the committee to select a freshman read for next year. So I've got like 8 books to get through this summer. And I'm like, I don't have time for this 4-hour documentary, but I know me. I'll probably
split it up. Just make yourself watch a half an hour of it for, a little over a week. It's well worth your I think it's funny.
I'm really excited about it.
And speaking of things that are worth your time, and hopefully onto our subject today, is the Disney Plus documentary, The Boys, the Sherman Brothers story on Disney Plus. Is an excellent documentary, but specifically so because we are doing a little ode to the Sherman Brothers today in memory, actually, of both brothers. But Richard Sherman passed away this weekend. And sad stuff. It's the end of an era.
One of those things where we're all familiar with a number of their songs, and the Boys documentary was where I really first started sort of getting an interest in them themselves, right? As human beings. They also wrote Chim Chim Cheree. They also wrote songs for other things. Wrote a ton of songs for the parks. Had a weird relationship as brothers. You can sort of get into that in the Boys documentary, which I believe is that still available on Disney Plus.
It is. Mm-hmm.
But I just really admired the songs and the musicality and so many of their songs. Just really are the songs of my life. They started working for Disney in the 60s, so from Mary Poppins on, even after Walt passed, they had a number of stuff. And most recently, after his brother died, Richard Sherman appeared in a ton of different things. Most recently, and I think we talked about it in the short, the 100th anniversary short, Once Upon a Studio. Richard Sherman, they went to Walt's office, which is preserved, which I've toured. I think you toured.
No, I haven't.
When you were there with him? No. And they opened up that office and had him come in and play a little bit of Feed the Birds for that scene where Mickey's looking at Walt, which, obviously they didn't have to do. There's a million different recordings of him doing it. They could have gotten somebody else in to do it. I'm sure it was just a very, I think, touching thing to do. And to have him pass away this shortly after that was released, I think, it's just a really, now that short, which I already loved, has sort of another level of tribute to the history of the Disney studios. So I just thought this might be a good time to talk about Disney music.
Yeah, for sure. And the Sherman Brothers, I just can't believe, and I know I've heard it a little bit in the past, and yeah, the documentary does dive into it. Just, they were not best friends, and with all of that talent, and you would think that people, I mean, Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, you know, they were successors of theirs on the Disney movies, but they got along. They got along really well. And so it's just so weird that these brothers had this relationship, came up with genius songs,
worked together, but outside of
yeah.
work didn't really spend a whole lot of time together. You know, which some days with I've got a lot of brothers and sisters, and some days I totally get that. There are times when I'm like, yes,
well, yeah,
I understand that.
yeah. I do too. But even to work with them, if you know, working with family,
yeah, well, we always come back together, right? Like it's a like nobody can drive you as crazy as your siblings, and nobody better say anything about your siblings, right? Like that's sort of the dynamic, at least in my family, is like I have siblings that and I love them. My older brother who passed away, Shuggy, nobody on the planet had the ability to push my buttons like he did, and I miss him every day. Although I often say, if miraculously he showed up at the door and was still alive 5 minutes later, I'd be like, you gotta go. I know we thought you were dead and you're alive now, but you're getting on my nerves. You gotta go.
Oh, well, so many songs that they did that we again decided on our top 5, but this one is pretty hard for me to do.
Well, now, how did you form your list? Because I didn't limit it to the Sherman Brothers, because I thought that our list would overlap too much because it sort of was narrowed. So I just said inspirational Disney songs, including the Sherman Brothers. Was yours specifically the Sherman Brothers?
It was, but it wasn't specifically Disney.
Oh, so this will be an interesting list. I am very interested in hearing your list.
Okay, now I gotta come down to the 5. But
well, which who should start?
I don't know. Why do you think that?
You start. I want to hear yours. Your first one.
Okay, it's gonna be hard to pick 5. Okay, well then should I stick to just my Disney songs? That's the question.
100%
I could do that and still just have 5.
I mean, I'm interested in hearing everything, particularly. Do you want to just run through the non-Disney ones? How many of those are in? Because they did a lot of stuff.
Not a lot. They did a lot of stuff, and I do have a lot of fun. No, let's stick with Disney because we are a Disney podcast. I'll mention some of the ones they did afterwards. But
I mean, we've already mentioned Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, so
yeah, we did. Wait, did we?
Did we? No, we didn't. But I love Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. So the most terrifying villain as a child.
I cannot handle that movie still. But man, this song Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is so addictive. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about, I mean, Mary Poppins is like maybe one of the most popular ones. Even with Saving Mr. Banks, we were able to see actors portray the Sherman Brothers in there and talk about what that was like. And I just think Supercalifragilistic is a most awesome song, not one of the Oscar winners, but definitely everybody in the world knows what you're talking about when you say that. And I just think it's a classic in of all classics. So
it's like a perfect song. Like it's just like this jewel, this little jewel that even if Mary Poppins hadn't existed and they just wrote this weirdly random song, it would still be just as popular. I think. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I couldn't keep it to the Sherman Brothers, because if I did, it would just be like, here are 5 songs from Mary Poppins.
Well, that's true. I mean, definitely going through the list of everything that they did. But I'm going to say that is a classic. I mean, but you could say that about any Mary Poppins song too, I guess. I just think Supercala it's a funny
of the classic songs in Mary Poppins. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Or Docious-Expialidocious.
So that's going a bit too far. Don't you think?
Indubitably. All right. Okay. So there's my number 1. I mean, my 5 or whatever we're doing.
All right. So my number 1 inspirational, not number 1, but just one of my 5 inspirational Disney songs. This one's not a Sherman Brothers song, but it's like if you're doing a list of inspirational Disney songs and this song isn't on it, then what are you even doing? Is When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio. It is the signature song of the Disney Corporation. It is. I was recently on a plane and had Pinocchio on my iPad, and I was like, "Oh, let me just rewatch the beginning of Pinocchio while I'm, whatever." And it's a good song. It's like everything. If you sort of wrapped all of the Disney magic into one song, it's When You Wish Upon a Star. It's everything. It's like they hit it perfect, like in 1940. And somebody at the office, probably Walt, looked around and said, "We're good on this, right? We're all good. This is the song. We're forever, right? Good, all right,
forever,
because it's that
forever."
good. And we've heard it so much that I think we forget how good of a song it is. And it's just a really good. It's particularly as it's placed in the movie. It brings you into the movie, and it's the animation during the song is wonderful, and it's done by Jiminy Cricket. It's awesome. It's When You Wish Upon a Star. Come on, inspiration. Thy name is When You Wish Upon a Star.
Okay, that's funny. That's hilarious. Okay, well, let's talk about inspiration then, because this is a Sherman Brothers song, and I just lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, there. They did a lot of songs for the parks and a lot of songs for the attractions that we all know and love. But A Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow is a very inspirational song, a song to get stuck in your head. And even people who have never been on Carousel of Progress usually know this song. It's a great big beautiful tomorrow.
I only went on Carousel of Progress
once, right?
Once.
Yeah.
And I've known that song forever.
Yeah. But the Sherman Brothers wrote that one, and I love it and sing it constantly. I wish I believed it.
In the film Tomorrowland, which I may be the only person who really liked.
Or saw, for that matter.
Or saw. I was definitely alone in the theater, but featured in that movie, and I really liked that movie.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Yeah, so that was my number 2, Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, shining at the end of every day.
Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow?
It's a great big beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My number 2 song, not number 2. It's not. There's not a sequence.
Yeah,
we don't.
The second one you're talking about today.
Sure. The second song in my list is from, I think, one of the underrated movies from the Disney Renaissance, because people really think it was super dark and it dealt with some adult themes, and people, I think, were uncomfortable with the adult themes. But I think it's just a great movie. And I think this song, whenever I hear it, kind of lifts me up and makes me kind of I don't know. It's just it's a very uplifting song, and it's from Hunchback of Notre Dame, Out There. It's such a great I Want song, great traditional Broadway I Want song, in a very pure Disney way of like, this here's just this story of this person who has lived his life alone, and his greatest desire isn't to be a prince or isn't to take over the world, or his greatest desire isn't some grandiose idea. It's just to be out there amongst the people. And it's because the score and the song is so big and the goal is so small but unachievable. It's the difference between those two states just makes me kind of weep every time I hear it, because it's like, you know, the for this character, being out amongst people and feeling normal and comfortable is, at this point in his life, impossible. And it's such the biggest stakes in the smallest stakes, I guess, is the way I look at it, which is such a great thing to hang a movie on. So Out There.
It's a good movie that's underrated. And the Broadway show has been out. I know a couple of high schools have done it. I don't think I've seen it.
I really want to see it. People really love it. And I just, it hasn't been, it was very briefly on Broadway. Didn't have the most successful run. But I
didn't even know it was on Broadway. Oh, yeah, I've only seen high school. Okay.
Yeah. Very brief. It was, they were trying to make, the Disney theatrical was trying to get another thing going, and it just didn't quite work out. That The Little Mermaid, they've had a number of them that people don't really realize that they had The Little Mermaid. A couple of things just haven't taken off, like, Aladdin and Lion King and, that kind of stuff. But, Out There, I would love to see a really great Broadway actor do that song.
That would, well, even Tom Hulse would be good at doing it. He's the one that did it for the voice for the movie. Absolutely. That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one is a sentimental one for me. My mom, when we were growing up, my mom used to sing like all the Annette Funicello songs. My mom and dad knew all like the 50s songs and stuff, and that's when beach movies were in. But also
my mom too. My mom loved that. Oh my god, Frankie and Annette. Oh,
So, and the Sherman Brothers wrote the songs for Annette, especially when she was on the Mouseketeers. And so Tall Paul, they always used to sing that. And Pineapple Princess, my mom sometimes still breaks into that. So they did write a lot, but Tall Paul and Pineapple Princess are two that kind of stuck with me. I know it's a 2-for-1 kind of thing, but all those songs that they wrote for Annette, I mean, the original, Disney Channel star. That's what Disney does. They manufacture stars, and if you don't get manufactured,
with Annette Funicello.
You never get a job elsewhere. I mean, read the story of the Mouseketeers if you haven't. You get typecast into that role.
I mean, we're still Sabrina Carpenter, who's the hot thing right now, as a Disney kid.
Sabrina Carpenter is hot right now.
Oh yeah. She's got like the #1 song. She was the musical guest on Saturday Night Live last week. You don't know this?
Seriously? No, I mean, she was popular when the girls were young, but I didn't know that she was
not
still
like popular with. She's big time popular. She was the musical guest on SNL. Yes. Formerly of Girl Meets World. Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. Sabrina Carpenter was in Mean Girls, wasn't she? I think she was in Mean Girls on Broadway. Oh, or she was going to be before COVID. And then COVID hit, so I don't think she was in for that long.
She'd be good
anyway, okay. So yeah,
it's so funny you mentioned that. My mom too. My mom loved all those 50 at Annette Funicello. My mom, this isn't Disney. My mom loved Gidget.
Oh yeah, I grew up on Gidget. I totally grew up on Gidget.
Moondoggy.
Oh my gosh, I totally grew up on Gidget, the movies and the TV show.
Yeah,
because of my
Sally
mom.
Field. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god, you brought me back to memories of my mom loving all that stuff.
Yeah. In fact, when I go out in the sun now, I call myself LaRue, her best friend, because I have the big sun hat and the white on my nose. I can't get any sun on me.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I bet LaRue grew up with better skin than Gidget, though. I bet when we need to see Gidget as grandparents so that we can see that.
Even when we were kids, people would be like, "You got to get as much sun as possible." Like remember when people used to
sun damage right here, people, from baby oil,
like coconut oil. On their
baby
skin
oil right here. This is what happens when you're white. You don't have this, but when you're white skin and you go out in the sun, this is what happens. Not pretty.
Nope.
Not pretty at all.
Nope. I mean, I'm naturally protected from it, but I also don't go outside. So,
you happen to be a black nerd.
Yes. Blurred, we like to call ourselves.
A blurred.
Okay, so my next one, and so part of my idea is I knew that you were going to hit some stuff and I didn't want us to overlap. So I was like, okay, let me go as far afield from stuff that most people are going to think of. So my next one is one of my absolute favorite Disney songs from a very well-known Disney property that very few people know about. So, in Beauty and the Beast, there was the movie, and then they did the stage show. And in the stage show, they had extra songs that they had written for the movie that didn't get into the movie. One of those was later put in the movie, which is Human Again, which I love.
Oh,
yeah. That's not the song I'm talking about. The song that I'm talking about, because I think is particularly inspirational, is a song that Belle sings. I think it's in the time before she leaves to meet the Beast, but I think it's right in that slot after the townspeople make fun of her, and she kind of makes fun of them a little bit. But it's called Home. And it's just one of those songs that makes me incredibly homesick whenever I hear it. It's just one of those songs that makes me go, oh, I need to go visit my home, or I need to go see my family. And it's this wonderful song in Beauty and the Beast. I always think of Susan Egan, and when they put Human Again, I was like, oh, I wish they would have put Home as well, but there's only so much you can ask for.
I actually like the one the Beast sings, If She Loved Me. I love that song.
That song. Way better than the one they did. What were they thinking with the live action movie? I was like, you had a song for Beast, and you made this whole... don't even get me started.
Don't even get me started on that one either.
Yeah. But Home, that Belle sings in Beauty and the Beast, I find incredibly inspirational. It makes me homesick all the time.
Okay. Yeah, no, I do love that song. I do love the Broadway album of that. Oh, actually, I have my... Look. Well, you can't really see. But this is my blanket I have from Beauty and the Beast, the musical. Anyway.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, Andee, come up. Oh man, I've just got so many that I love. But one of them, can I do a 2-for-1 again? I don't. Maybe you already came up with one.
Do a 2-for-1. Do it.
Okay, no,
The
I'm just gonna
podcast
stick with what I
police
have.
aren't gonna stop us.
Okay, if the podcast police aren't going to stop us, I'm going to talk with 2 attraction songs. One of the Tiki Room,
Nice.
written by the Sherman Brothers, and then Small World, which everybody knows.
Yeah,
Now,
right?
if I had to pick one of them, I might pick the Tiki Room only because there's a little bit more to it than Small World. Small World is good. It's just very basic over and over.
But that was the point of Small World.
I know.
They wrote it so that it could be sang in different languages, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, and so good. But the Tiki Room.
The Tiki Room has the honor of being my phone ringtone. So.
Oh, well then. Mm-hmm. It's where the birds sing words and the flowers croon.
And the Tiki
Room. Yes, that is it.
There's nothing better than sitting in the Tiki Room, pineapple Dole Whip.
Yeah.
Hearing the birds sing and the flowers bloom. I mean, come on. That's Disneyland to me, right there. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That had to be my 2-for-1 though, because Small World. Everybody knows Small World.
Yeah, but I often wonder. I don't know if I've told you this. If that is where my Disney fandom began, because I went to Small World Head Start when I was a child.
Oh, that was the name of it? Was it decorated?
We sang It's a Small World. And it's one of my earliest memories.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. Okay, good. Thank you for letting me have a 2-for-1 so that I could actually put in one of my other favorites too. So
I'm telling you, the podcast police, they're not going to get us.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so my next pick is one that I may be the only person who remembers, who has this reaction, because it's so random and rare. But there used to be an attraction when California Adventure first opened that has been gone for a super long time.
We all know it because you talk about it for all the time.
I love this attraction. I love it. And nobody ever went. And it was like a flop attraction. California Golden Dreams, which was this show, I think it was 3D if I remember, with Whoopi Goldberg, and it was the history of the state of California, and if you live in California, you already know, and if you don't live in California, what do you care? So I understand why it was a flop.
Exactly.
But there was a song at the end where they just played it over a montage of historic figures with the tie to California. Didn't even have to be born in California, just at some point had some connection to California. And it was called Just One Dream. And I love this song. It's a song that makes me cry. And I'm an inhuman monster. And it's a weepy song for me. Just One Dream. I think Heather Headley sang it. And because it was from a flop show, like super hard to find recording of it, super hard to find even covers of it. Like I've scoured YouTube and there's only like 2 or 3 people who covered the song. One of them is just a piano solo.
Interesting.
But I love that song, Just One Dream.
Yeah, you're gonna hold on to that till the day you die.
Hey, I am what I am, according to my friend Popeye.
Popeye?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as many times as my mom sang Annette Funicello songs, my dad would sing any silly song that he could do. And so the wonderful thing about Tiggers was written by the Sherman Brothers. And so that one has a place in my heart too. That the wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are wonderful things. Their tops are made out of rubber. Their bottoms are made out of springs. They're bouncy, flancy, transy. No, wait, I messed up. Anyway.
You were there.
But the most wonderful thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one. My dad used to sing that a lot. So that's in there too.
And here's the thing. One of the things I didn't realize is I think of the Winnie the Pooh cartoons as just sort of part of the whole history of Disney legacy. But those came out just for us. Like they came out in our childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, Winnie the Pooh was around for a long time before that. But for some reason, I think of Winnie the Pooh, the Disney connection to Winnie the Pooh back to like the beginning of the company. And it was like, literally made for us.
Yeah. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh was the movie, the full-length feature film of all these little vignettes that came from A.A. Milne's book.
Yeah.
And the Sherman Brothers wrote the movie, which there were a lot of good ones in there too. The Heffalumps and Woozles and Up, Down, Touch the Ground. A lot of ones from Winnie the Pooh as well.
And, you know, the title song, Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Which
That is
is
true.
one of my favorite songs.
That is true. So I had to get that in there. So,
well, my final
yes,
is a Sherman Brothers song.
Thank God.
Well, I wanted to, you know, but if you're gonna pick a Sherman Brothers song to have your final for inspirational songs, I do believe this is the one, because it was also Walt's favorite song, and it was also the song that Walt would ask them to come play for him when he had an end of the day, he just wanted to stare out of the window. And it's Feed the Birds.
Yeah.
Tuppence a bag. And it's just this, when you rewatch Mary Poppins, it's such an interesting sequence that they sort of drop out of the wacky comedy for a little bit and just say, hey, here's a person who is just down on their luck and we should be nice to her. And from the whole movie perspective, you think, oh, that's this weird little thing that they did. But then it comes back in a very strong way at the end of the movie. And you're like, oh, the whole movie was about actually being kind to people.
A little bit. Yeah.
And the song is just this simple little lullaby almost. And it's just super moving before you even add on the fact that it was Walt's favorite song and that he used to ask them to come play it for him in his office. So, you know, my ultimate inspirational Disney song is by the Sherman Brothers, and it's Feed the Birds. So there you go. That's me.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm so surprised you didn't put "Let's Get Together" by.
I love "Let's Get Together." Are you kidding me?
That's inspirational.
Yeah.
Oh no, those are great though. Those are inspirational, and the Sherman Brothers were just so, to me, that they were so Disneyfied that sometimes I forget that they didn't just do Disney things, that they had so many other things that they did. And a lot of them were those 50s songs that, you know, my parents listened to, which is weird because, okay, so if my teenage years were in the 80s and my parents were listening to, you know, 50s and 60s, and we called those oldies, those were oldies in the 80s, but those were only 20 to 30 years old. And nowadays in 2024, 80s music is still played constantly in every music. I mean, every movie. Like, we hear 80 songs all the time.
Yeah.
Do we call those oldies? And do we listen?
We don't.
No, but even the kids. They don't call them oldies. They don't call them oldies.
I don't think they would use the phrase oldies.
That's what I'm saying.
But if you were to ask them, hey, are these current songs? They would be like, no.
No, but they know them all.
Like,
they know them all.
Let's break out that Wing Chung album.
Maybe not, but neither would you or I. They're more into like the Duran Duran and the Cure, and I mean, there's a ton.
But remember, well, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, and I was always a weird kid, I was way into Motown.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Way into like Motown and 70s.
But that was only 20 years old. That was only 20 years old.
Yeah, 20.
We're talking
20,
40
30 years. Yeah.
That's a long. I wasn't listening to 40 songs.
Then I got older, and I got in my 20s. I was really into like Rat Pack stuff.
Oh yeah, that would be okay.
You know,
that would be I think similar.
We all sort of, because the thing I always tell people, remember, because people say, "Oh, stuff used to be better than it is now," is only the good stuff survives, right? So we think about the 80s music that the kids are in. They're only listening to the good 80s music. They're not listening to all the crap we had to listen to.
That's true.
That was not really good music.
That's true.
That was like, you know, the who knows how many different Michael Jackson impersonators were trying to get a career going, and we had to like wade through those on the radio before a good song comes. I mean, do you remember?
Yeah.
Like waiting by your radio with your record button so that you could record a good song, and you were just like, God, why do they keep playing these terrible songs? I'm just trying to record Man in the Mirror. That's all I want.
And then you have the DJ's voice over the beginning of it anyway.
Oh yeah. This is KFSR Fresno State Radio.
Oh, anyway, well, yep, definitely the end of an era with Richard Sherman's death this weekend, and Yeah, they were genius. I highly recommend
And I
watching.
mean, and I would say legacy that he, you know, there that the Sherman Brothers led to Menken and Ashman,
Mm-hmm.
um, and led to all the folks we have doing now, the Lopez folks and Lin-Manuel Miranda, all the folks who are doing great music for Disney currently. So, you know,
Yeah, true
every time
story.
you listen to We Don't Talk About Bruno, you know, that's influenced by the Sherman Brothers.
Yeah, I guess it would be.
Yeah. I'm
All
sorry, I
right.
didn't mean to bring up Bruno. I know we made an
We don't
agreement.
talk about them.
I apologize. I violated that agreement.
All right. Well, our dueling Disney community duelist. What did we miss? Now, I know Al missed a ton because he went like some other direction. Those are inspirational songs. It's fine. So, anyway, if there's an inspirational song we missed, or if there's a Sherman Brothers song that we missed that you're like, I can't believe they missed that, let us know on Facebook at our Dueling Disney Community Duelist page. Go ahead and click join, and we will approve you, and you can be part of that little community. Otherwise, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Dueling Disney. And if you visit us on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment so we can have a discussion.
Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened. Wait for the podcast to come to a complete stop before disembarking. Permanece sentados, por favor.